telling him, as I go out in my corrals and the manure looks like it's boiling. The bubbles is just unbelievable. He said, you got to find somebody to get something in that rumen to get rid of that acid, because they're going to get so loose, you're going to kill that rumen, and you got problems. He said, the operation you're running is what he would call extremely high risk, because I run on the razor's edge of too many potatoes, too much stuff in that rumen. And just happened to be a week later, a guy showed up with Cattle Active, and he said, would you like to try it? And I'm going, well, here's what I'm fighting. Will your product work on acidosis and help me keep that rumen calm down? And he said, absolutely, 100%. I said, okay, let's give her a wing and let's see what happens. Immediately, the bubbles were gone in my manure. They solided up quite a little bit. They weren't quite so runny.
Welcome to the Beef Podcast Show, brought to you by Wisenetics. I'm Dr. AJ Tarpoff, and we are dedicated to bringing you the latest insights and discussion from the cattle industry. So sit back, get ready, and to expand your knowledge with today's episode. And we've got a great episode lined out today. Our guest is Don Scarrow from Idaho. He's a feedlot owner and operator, and also runs a beef packing plant on his operation. And I don't want to give too much of an intro, but I want to turn it over to you, Don, to give a little bit of background about yourself. And I do have to allude to, I'm excited about our topic. We get to talk about feedlot production, but we also get to talk about potatoes. We don't always talk about potatoes and feeding, especially in Kansas. So I'm excited about this conversation.
Very, very good. Yeah, I just have a small operation. I don't have any cow-calf type operation at all. So I'm at the auctions or buying my cattle out in the country, which is what I prefer. I've been in this little bitty town. I was born in the hospital in our little town that I grew up in here. I've moved a whopping 3 miles in my entire life. So very much hometown boy, know everybody here. And so if I can, I try to purchase my cattle from local cow-calf guys, small operators, and I'm only running 400 or 500 head in my feedlot. So, I mean, I buy anywhere from 2 or 3 to maybe up to 100 head from one cow-calf operator, and put my cattle in that way. I try to stay away from the auctions as much as I can. I do go to them, but I found that the cattle are always stressed and have quite a bit of problem with my pharmaceutical bill just goes through the roof when I go through the auction. So I've kind of stayed away from them. I do buy some cattle there, but I like to be friends and buying from guys that I know, and I know how their cattle produce. So that's on that side of it where I get all my cattle. And I buy them somewhere between 600 and 800 pounds or so, somewhere in there. And like you say, start them out on potatoes. Idaho is known for potatoes, and you wouldn't know it if you're not around them, but cattle actually love potatoes. I mean, they will kick out third cutting best crop alfalfa hay, push it aside, and dig out a potato. If they can get to it, they absolutely love them. So in doing that, you kind of have to be careful and don't start them too fast, because you will kill them immediately, and give them acidosis. The acid is extremely, it goes crazy in that rumen. So I feed the Cattle Active pellets daily, and to help with my acidosis in the ration. But it's a very, very, very simple ration. I don't have a nutritionist. I don't spend a lot of money. I want happy cattle. So I figured out a ration on my own, just winging it and figured it out. And I feed alfalfa hay, as good a quality as I can get, that's priced right. I raise my own corn silage. And I raise a little bit of triticale. I double crops. I raise some triticale, or I buy it from my neighbors. And then the last ingredient, which is the huge one, is potatoes.
Now, that triticale, is that's you're feeding the grain triticale or a hay?
Go in and green chop it in the spring and put it in the pit and ensile it.
Gotcha.
Is stress affecting your bottom line? Even routine handling, inclement weather, weaning, and dietary changes can significantly lower the rumen pH, causing cortisol levels to spike. Cortisol not only compromises the immune system, but also suppresses normal appetite and feed consumption. The solution? Cattle Active. Increase production and reduce the impacts of stress on your cattle for cents a day. Cattle Active restores the balance naturally. Want to learn more how a feeding program including Cattle Active can improve both profits and herd health? Visit us today at proearthanimalhealth.com. Be proactive with Cattle Active.
With the potato piece, I know Idaho's known for potatoes. Now, were you always feeding potatoes? Was that always available to you? Or kind of what motivated you to dive into that ingredient specifically?
Funny story. About 30 years ago-ish or so, I grew up raising a few calves. My dad always had calves. I mean, not very many, anywhere from 50 to maybe a couple of hundred head. And he's a very, very, very low-cost operator. He'd buy the cheap anything he could possibly get. I disagree with that mentality, but growing up with it, you know how you sometimes disagree with Dad. It worked for him. I didn't care for it. But anyways, one day he was sitting having coffee at the local diner, and the mayor of the town came in and said, his name is also Don. He said, Don, we got a problem. He said, the local got a brand new potato processor in town, and he filled his dumpster up completely with potato waste, and the local refuse company's trucks will not pick up the dumpster. We're stuck with all these potato waste in this dumpster. You know anybody we could help us figure this deal out? And Dad says, absolutely, because he knew cattle like potatoes. So he went out and worked out a deal and started getting potatoes in 25-pound potato waste in 25-pound cardboard boxes. And for a couple of years, he was emptying 25-pound boxes for his cattle it was a nightmare, all the cardboard left over. And one day he went to him and asked him, what would it take to eliminate these boxes? Well, we just need some trucks and some dumpers to get the potato waste out of the plant into the trucks. So he went and bought some dumpers for heisters and some little bitty dump trucks and started hauling it that way. And so as he was going through life, I was busy as a meat cutter at a grocery store. And so I wasn't as involved. Every day I was on that farm helping, but I was a meat cutter number one. So he said, one of these days, I'm going to slow down and retire, and you're going to have to take over this operation. So I said, well, no problem. You let me know. So one day here, 6 to 8 years ago, we were at coffee one morning, and he says, well, tomorrow's the day. And I said, well, what do you mean tomorrow's the day? He says, I'm retiring tomorrow. He was 82, I believe, at the time. And I said, okay, no problem. Well, he had 4 businesses, so I inherited 4 businesses the next morning. And one of them was potato waste. So about that same time, Agri-Beef was wanting to build a plant here in Jerome called True West. And it was going to allow processors or producers to invest into it and buy into the plant. So I thought, timing is perfect. I'll blow up my cattle operation from 30, 40, 50 head to a few hundred and buy into True West and have an outlet for my cattle. I now have potatoes. Dad wants out. It gives me option to get the potatoes. And so it's evolved now to where I'm up to 400 or 500 head in the feedlot every day and shipping them. I just shipped cattle this morning to True West a little while ago. So that's kind of how I got into the potatoes. I have switched it dramatically. I now have, they still use the little dumpers on the heisters, but I bought side dumps because I've got 5 businesses going all the time, and I don't have time to run little bitty dump trucks. So we've got big semis with side dumps and haul the potatoes out to the cattle that way. So that's kind of how I got. It was just sheer luck kind of a deal with my dad and myself that now I have the contract with this company in Jerome and buy all of their potato waste and feed it to my cattle.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, and I know we call it potato waste. I've been around it a handful of times at different operations around the U.S., but every place I've been, it's been a little bit different of the potato consistency. Everything from whole potatoes that were just odd sizes that didn't work for the factory that they came out of, to a slurry that kind of went into a grinding that it was more of a liquid product. So I guess what kind of consistency and what type of product are you receiving that you're mixing into your ration?
Yeah, the company that I deal with does a twice-baked potato and a few other items, but their number one item is twice baked potatoes. So they run these potatoes through huge ovens and bring them out, cut them in half, scoop everything out, mix it with cheese and bacon and sour cream and chives and the whole works. Well, they go to fill the potato back up and they have all this extra. So I get the extra. It's baked potatoes is what I get. The moisture content is around 75-78%, where I believe most whole potatoes is in the 80-something% ration area. My ash is running around 3 or 4%, so they're extremely clean and nice. And the only kind of not so good part is cattle don't like cheese, and I always get some cheese in my potatoes. So I mean, it's not that they don't like it, but they definitely it's not there. They want the potatoes. So, but yeah, my spuds are baked.
So they're baked, and that helps a lot with consistency and things like
Yes.
that. Where there's not peels, that's not, you don't have extra dirt that you have to clean off. That's great. Now, you talked about how much the cattle love to eat those potatoes, and I agree with you. I've seen them. But what other nutritional benefits do you think potatoes bring to the table when you're finishing fat cattle?
I refer to it back to as like in feeding corn, because I back it off to if I'm going to be on my finishing ration. And like I said, I do not have a nutritionist on board. I wish I had more education and knew. So as far as all of the components that are in those potatoes, I do not know. I know they like them, and I figure my moisture back to feeding somewhere around 16 to 20 pounds of corn a day as to how many pounds of potatoes that takes, which is right at 70 pounds of spuds of my potato waste per day. So when I'm on my finishing ration, my cattle are getting 70 pounds of potatoes per calf per day. So as far as the carbohydrates and all of the breakdown, I'm simple farmer. I do not know. I mean, I've taken them to the local lab and have them broke down, and I have all that information, but it means zero to me. I'm sorry. I wished I knew. I've talked to numerous nutritionists, tried to hire them, and I'm such a small operator. They really they don't even return my phone calls. So I've worked with this Cattle Active product and made everything work that direction. And the acidosis is my main concern and bloat when I first start them on the potatoes, and they've been able to maintain all of that and eliminate it. So I just keep on rolling.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about that concern, because potatoes, you're essentially replacing all of the starch that would be coming from corn with your potatoes. Now that potato, it's heavy in starch, easily digestible, and with what you're getting, that rumen, the microbes don't have to break it down at all. I mean, they can just attack into that. So I mean, that's readily digestible, easy fermentable, but that also gets us into that danger zone of, like you mentioned, acidosis, bloats. Did you run it when you first, when your dad first started feeding some of these? I mean, is it a delicate balance? Is that something that is a major concern with this?
You better be darn careful. I got a very expensive, very fast education when I took over the operation. Dad everything was old school, low cost operator. I mean, almost to the wheelbarrow and a shovel type deal, feeding a couple of hundred head. I mean, it was, and no science to it, absolutely nothing. So I didn't have a lot of education and whatnot. It worked great for him, but the first couple of weeks, I went out to the pens and I killed 13 steers in 2 days. So, yeah, I mean, I went out there and boof, they're just dying like crazy and bloating them, killing them. So, but I was started out at like 20, 25 pounds of potatoes per day, which when they're wet potatoes, I mean, it's 75, 78% moisture. That's not a lot of potatoes to look at, really. So I didn't think that I was feeding too many, but yeah, darn straight I was. So when I start these cattle out, I'm so gun shy that I start really, really, really small. I start out with 1 pound of potatoes per day per calf when I'm introducing them to them. I do that for about a week. Then I jump them up to 2 or 3 pounds. And then a week or so, I jump them up to 5 pounds. Then I get them up to 10 pounds. And it'll take me a month and a half to get them up to where I'm even close to, say, 20 pounds of potatoes per day. And I want them to be weighing I want that rumen to be far enough along in life that it can break down this product and make it work. And there again, I'm not a nutritionist. I don't know everything, but I've listened to anybody that I think's got more smarts than me, which doesn't take much. So I listen a lot and try to pick up anything I can. I want them to be between 800 and 900 pounds before I hit them on a full ration. I talked with Kevin Jones quite a little bit, and he says I wait too long, I'm wasting time. But I'm not killing cattle, and I get these cattle coming along, and my death loss is near to nothing, and my grading at the packer is over the top.
And you're feeding into a natural program, correct? I didn't ask that earlier.
They are natural, but I do not promote them that way whatsoever. And but they are. Yeah, I use very, very little. Occasionally, I'll implant some just for fun to see if it does anything. But usually, all I do is I vaccinate, and that's it.
Well, fair enough. I really like the way that you cautiously and methodically start to build these calves up. You slow grow them on your corn silage and your triticale, and be able to grow those animals until they're ready and more mature and ready to start introducing some of that starch. And yes, I'm sure some folks say you could probably do it earlier, but you've found what works for you, right?
Yeah, it's trial and error is what I've been doing, and like I say, my death loss is very little. I walk the pens daily, and when I'm first getting them going, especially, and I'm looking at the cattle, but more than looking at the cattle, I'm looking at the manure on the ground. I look through. I'm learning what's coming out the other end with what I'm putting in the front end, and if I watch that, I'm in good shape.
Now, you mentioned a product that you said you've started to utilize to be able to help some of the acidosis, help with some of the gut health. I guess, was there a reason that you wanted to introduce that? I guess, and then are you seeing benefits? Talk a little bit more about that.
Yes. Yeah. It just happened to be, I was looking for something because I was having, I would talk to Kevin and I would tell him, as I go out in my corrals and the manure looks like it's boiling. The bubbles is just unbelievable. He said, you got to find somebody to get something in that rumen to get rid of that acid, because they're going to get so loose, you're going to kill that rumen, and you got problems. He said, the operation you're running is what he would call extremely high risk, because I run on the razor's edge of too many potatoes, too much stuff in that rumen. And just happened to be a week later, a guy showed up with Cattle Active, and he said, would you like to try it? And I'm going, well, here's what I'm fighting. Will your product work on acidosis and help me keep that rumen calm down? And he said, absolutely, 100%. I said, okay, let's give her a wing and let's see what happens. Immediately, the bubbles were gone in my manure. They solided up quite a little bit. They weren't quite so runny, and we just worked out with his guys how many grams to feed per day, and went with it, and everything has been there again. God been with me, taking care. I'm blessed. Everything just worked out, just kind of haphazardly perfect. So I wish I had knowledge.
Yeah, for folks listening in, your finished ration, when you're feeding as fed 70 pounds of these baked potato, waste out of the plant, how much silage and triticale is in there as well, just to paint the whole picture of what you're feeding, especially if they're saying that you're running, kind of a higher risk feed.
I feed twice a day, unless needed, more or less. But typically, we try to figure out with the cattle, and the total ration for the day is 6 pounds of hay, 6 pounds of triticale, 6 pounds of corn silage, 70 pounds of potatoes. It's typically, and that's cattle are on and off feed with the weather and whatever outside. They may eat more one day, a little bit less. So I will reduce amounts total, but I still try to shoot for 3 pounds in the morning of hay, triticale, and corn silage, along with 35 pounds of potatoes, and then feed the same thing again that night. Like I said, I do a little bit. I'm on the internet all the time surfing. How how many pounds will a cow eat per day? What percentage of his body weight? Where do I need to be? How do I do all this? And I'm always researching, trying to figure that out. And at the end of the day, the cow's going to eat what he's going to eat. So I'm watching how much I have left over in my bunks and where I'm at. And it works out to be right about 18 pounds of, I call it my dry matter, and 70 pounds of spuds is what it works out. And with my little operation, I've got the data to prove it. I just sent last week, I sent 20 head over to True West, and I came back 100% choice plus with 32% prime.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
For me, their goal for us was 85 to 90% choice or higher at the plant. That's what they wanted us producers to do. And month after month after month, I'm at 100%.
I've been around different places and been around cattle that have been finished on corn, obviously, sorghum, barley, and wheat. But potatoes, I found I'm kind of I'm a meat guy, right? And I know you are as well. And each of those finish rations, in my opinion, and people I know think I'm crazy when I say this, but I can taste there's a flavor profile that's a little bit different between corn and sorghum and barley and wheat. Do you pick up anything a little different with potato?
My opinion is it's richer.
Richer?
Yeah, a little sweeter, richer flavor. Yeah. And if I can get someone to buy a half a beef from me, they are coming back the next year to buy another half or a whole.
Well, especially if they're grading prime too.
Yeah. And my grading is, they're just, I don't know how I did it. With part of it, I believe, is it's natural program. So I don't have my cattle they're not old by any way shape. They're 18, 19, 20 months. But I'm not pushing them super hard to get 5 pound a day gain. I'm getting 3.5, maybe 4 pound a gain, all the way through, probably 3 to 3.5 from 6 weight to, and I do finish my cattle big. The ones I shipped this morning average 1,706 pounds. So I make them fluffy big.
But with your feedstuffs, your feedstuff availability, you grow your corn silage, your potato, your main starch, you're getting in that's your key business driver to be able to have that consistent, cheap, reliable starch that you're not having to ship in from Iowa.
Yeah, my cost of gain is, you wouldn't believe me if I told you.
well, just out of curiosity, but what has it been this month?
Round numbers, my cost of gain is about 75 cents.
That's impressive. That is impressive.
Yeah, that's impressive. But there again, I'm feeding cattle myself every day with a hired labor. I have my 2 boys. They're drawing a paycheck. I don't draw a paycheck. I just keep the money turning around, buying more cattle and having more fun and making it work. So as far as I don't have a nutritionist. I don't have a vet. I don't have a cowboy. I don't have any employees other than my boys, and they're both staffed through the meat plant as well, because it only takes us an hour and a half to feed cattle in the morning, hour and a half to feed at night. So they're over at my meat plant cutting meat during the daytime or what, unless we need to sort or we need a doctor, walk pens, check things or whatever. So my costs are exponentially less than most.
Well, that's great. Well, if there are feedlot operators that are listening to this podcast, what advice, and maybe they're on the edge of utilizing some local potato products, I guess, what advice would you have for somebody that's on the fence? Should I dive into this? Should I try this out? What tips and tidbits would you have for them?
If they're interested in potatoes, I would dive into it. I'd jump in whole body first. I'd do a great big old splash in the whole deal because it works. I would also definitely go about it very slow and learn as you go. Absolutely do it. But if you go out there and you have 100 head of calves in your pen, and you go over there and you want to slam a bunch of potatoes to them, you'll go out there in the morning and have a bunch of dead ones. So go extremely slow. And I've been totally sold with this Cattle Active Pro Animal Health, and find if you can get their product, it works for potatoes. But slow and easy to start, and then you can pour it to them.
In that Cattle Active product, you're just putting in pellet. on a per head per day basis and mix it into the ration?
Yeah, it's 4 or 5 cents, maybe 6 cents a day tops is what it costs per calf. Relatively very inexpensive, and it does a phenomenal, great job.
Good deal. And you're just working with your local mill to be able to get that put into a pellet and get it mixed in?
No, Cattle Active delivers it to me. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any idea. I'm horrible. I don't know where they make it at. One of the main guys that I talk with, I went to high school with my sales rep, and he talks to a guy out of Texas. James Davidson, I think is his last name. I don't know for sure. I can't remember, but I talk to James occasionally, and he's a super good guy and helps me. If I got a question, I call him, and he's right there on it, getting after it. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, potatoes making good beef. I think you've diving in and going slowly, making sure you monitor and mitigate that acidosis. As a veterinarian, I agree with you 100%. Mitigating acidosis, making sure we don't have to speed anything up. We can still finish them at 1,700 pounds, but just we got to keep them alive to get there.
I'm selling meat to my customers. I mean, in my shop, I have a custom exempt meat plant. I have a full blown retail area. I have to bring in meat from USDA facilities to fill that. I am able to buy a little bit through True West and bring it right over to my place and sell it. But I sell quarters and halves and wholes out of my feedlot, and the people, once I get it in their mouth, they absolutely love it. So it does spectacular. I mean, the meat it's so fun because people call me back up and they go, holy cow, there's a huge difference in what I'm used to buying. So lots of fun there.
Well, Don, I love your view on production. I think you've given us a lot of information, and this has been great. Any more that you would like to share with feeding potatoes, utilizing Cattle Active to help with acidosis? Anything else you want to share with our listeners?
My big deal is have fun. And one thing that I do it holds me back exponentially. I don't work with a banker. Bankers call me all the time, want me to borrow money. We need to help you. We need to get you to grow faster. I'm doing this for fun. I want to make money, but if it's not fun, I don't want to do it. I love what I do. So that's another, my wife says, why don't you come home at night? And I'm going, well, I'm not at work. I love what I do. So, I work an average of 12 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. So my advice is make it fun. I don't use bankers. I use my own money, and it took me a while to go there. Grow slow and easy. And then if the market crashes, it's not, I'm still in the money. It's still fun. It's not as fun if you're making really, really good money. Hey, I'm going to go on a big vacation next year. I can buy a new tractor next year or do whatever. But I don't lose the fun side because of I'm paying interest to the bank, and I have to sell something, and then the bank's name's on the check, and I got to split it with them. So I've grown it just really slow and small, and stayed. I only got 400 or 500 head. So today's world, it's a lot of money, but yet it's not.
Well, you've built a good foundation to have that protection.
It's time for our famous three.
Feed formulation software is stuck in the past. Most tools haven't evolved beyond basic least cost optimization. A Diet Forge changes that. It's an AI-powered platform with nonlinear ingredient modeling for enzymes and additives, cost per gain and maximum profit optimization, and real-time collaboration like Google Docs for nutrition. Every recommendation is grounded in world-class research, built for modern nutritionists who need more than legacy desktop software can deliver. Work seamlessly with your team and optimize the way modern operations demand. Try dietforge.ai free today. Feed formulation, finally modernized.
Well, good. Well, Don, I can't let you go. A part of the Beef Podcast Show, we always ask our guests 3 questions at the end. And I know we talked about this before the podcast, but if you're willing, I'd like to start off on those.
Good. Absolutely.
Okay. So number 1, you mentioned, you do a lot of research. You try to look and find some information. What is your go-to cattle or agricultural resource that you go to find information?
Yeah, there's like I say, I'm friends with several of the professors, the meat science guys at University of Idaho. Dr. Phil Bass, got him quick dial on my phone. I'll call Phil, talk to him. James Davidos is the professor right there at the U of I. I call James, talk to him. There's another feedlot here, just about 25 miles away from me, that runs about 30,000 head. It's called Intermountain Beef, and Kevin Jones is the owner operator of that, and he and I are very close. We have lunch once every other week or so, and he's got nutritionists, he's got vets on staff. So if I need help, I call up Kevin Jones, and another guy that's on the Idaho Beef Council. Jared Brackett is another big producer here in Idaho. He's a cow-calf guy and a finisher, and I'll call Jared and pick his brain for information. On my farming side, I grew up here, so I know every farmer in the valley, and there's numerous ones that I think are on top of their game. And I share prime ribs at Christmas. I share spiral sliced hams at Thanksgiving for free to these guys. I'll show up and give them one. And throughout the year, if I got a question, I got several farmers. Mike Larson is one of my neighbors. He farms about 3,000 or 4,000 acres. And I call up Mike if I got with my corn and stuff like that when I'm growing it. And he runs over, and any question I've got with my pivots or whatever, and helps me out there. So, yeah.
Well, it's great to have a good network. You got friends, you got colleagues, you got people you respect. I think that's fantastic. Number two, second question, outside of agriculture, what's your go-to? What are you reading, or what are you listening to? What do you enjoy that's non-ag related?
Anything. I'm old school. I mean, I'm in my early 60s, so internet isn't my friend that much. But I do. I got a smartphone, so I'm on there searching anything. I mean, the world is so interesting, and there's so much stuff out there. The crazy part is there's just as much information and things to do within 5 miles of you. You don't have to hop on a jet and go across the world to find something new. So if you look in your backyard, so I'm on the internet researching anything that pops up. I'll just open it up, and that stupid Google thing will put something in front of you. So I'll research through it and check it out. That's fun for me. But I really, really enjoy the outdoors. Every year I go to Alaska for 2 to 3 weeks and fish for salmon in June and July. In the fall, winter time, if I'm not, my meat plant is slam busy at that time, and I start putting in all the cattle in the fall. So, but I have upland bird dogs, and I hunt chukar partridge tons. I mean, as I'm getting older, I'm delegating more and more to the boys and the guys, and I'll go chukar hunting 2 or 3 times a week. It might only be for 4 hours. I'm a nut that way. I start relatively early, but I don't go to bed till midnight. So I'm going, and I'll go out to a canyon and hunt chukars for 4 hours, walk 5, 6, 7 miles, and cruise back and feed cattle that afternoon. So, but and then to keep my wife happy, we got to do the family vacation. So we go somewhere, a couple, 2 or 3 trips a year. She likes the ocean. She likes the sand in her toes. So we're headed to Hawaii here in another month or so, and then I think we're going. If she got a summer plan, I think she's going to go to Alaska with me another time this summer. So lots of vacations with my wife, if I can, 2 or 3 or 4 weeks a year. Vacations with her somewhere where there's water, preferably.
Yeah, I love it. My wife and I do things very similarly. So last question before we wrap up. You've been around the feedlot industry. You've been around the meat industry. What makes what makes a successful feedlot operation? Whether it's traits, whether it's tools, from your eyes, what brings on that success?
As I look around at the other operators in my area, I go to coffee every morning with a group of guys that are typically, most of them in their 70s and 80s. Everybody says, why do you go hang out with those guys? I just go sit and listen. And I want to learn anything I can pick up from these guys. So I watch all the other operators, and from what I can see, the best thing, the ones that are the most successful. I mean, there's guys here that I have coffee with every morning that are milking, and a different deal, but they're milking cows, but same aspect. One of them is milking like 70, 80,000 head a day. He has cow around his boots every morning. So very hands-on, active, out there with the cattle, watching and seeing how happy, how they're doing, how they're feeling, and checking your cattle and being hands-on would be my best advice, I would think. Out there seeing what's going on.
The hands-on, taking pride in your work. I couldn't agree more. Don Scarrow, feedlot operator from Idaho. This has been a fantastic episode with the Beef Podcast Show. Thank you very much for spending some time with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your time.
And until next time, tune in to the Beef Podcast Show, brought to you by Wisenetics, and we'll see you in the next episode.